All right, folks, we are here. Nick and I are here.
What's up?
What's up, Nick? The kind of a weird scheduling thing for us. I was away on work for half the week, and you're going to be gone the other half. So didn't really make sense to line up a guest. So you're just stuck with us.
You're welcome.
You're welcome in advance. There's a lot of stuff that we're kind of passionate about. There's like specifically like self-improvement stuff, fatherhood. Actually, your wife had some good ideas for us to talk about.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Let's see if I can find that group chat.
I wish you would tell me more things.
Yeah, she doesn't. It wasn't. You were in the group chat. So.
Oh.
So maybe you just need to pay attention.
Whoops. And she thinks
Anyway.
I should listen more.
This is episode 30. Dude, that's 30 weeks.
I know. 30 kind of crept up on me. Like when I heard 30, like yesterday, I was like, wait a second, that's not right.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and I accidentally posted out number 27 twice or something like that. And so when I had to go back and correct it, I'm like, oh, man, dude, we're on 30.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty good.
Yeah, we're amazing.
It's 52 in a year. So I can't believe that it's been that many times to think about, besides the recaps we've had on, 28 guests, more or 27, because we had a couple repeats, 26, something like that. Yeah. It's just a lot. It's a lot of insights, a lot of information. It's a lot of good stuff. I'm enjoying the post-production part of it and kind of watching it before it's released and getting it ready. But a lot of people have said that they really enjoy it. So we'll keep doing it.
Yeah.
Whether you'll like it or not.
Yep.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's get into health a little bit, since that's kind of a hot button issue these days. Get some of your thoughts, some of my thoughts. We are about to have a new administration come in, and it sounds like there might be some waves in the health community as far as food, and at least pharmaceuticals and food.
Yeah. Yeah, just hoping the zero sugar stuff doesn't get taken off the shelf.
If they take away your zero sugar Barks root beer, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, there's like, I'm sure this is not an uncommon or like a unique experience, but when a sugar-free, or people that buy into like how valuable sugar-free products are when it comes to dieting, I think it's for two reasons. Number one, I think you're just happy that there's something different to have besides
that
chicken and
okay.
rice. Yeah,
Yep.
I think so. I think it tastes fine. I think generally people in this camp would say that zero sugar stuff tastes good to them too. Mm-hmm. A lot of people like, you either love it or you hate it.
Or are you talking about food?
Everything. Like
Is
anything.
zero sugar food? What is that?
I'll get into it. So, and then the other side is like, you don't have to starve yourself if you can just find some zero sugar stuff to put into your diet to help like fill your belly. Like it's as simple as that. Mm-hmm. Like at night, if you're hungry, you can make up, like I've made zero sugar cookies, not zero sugar, but I've made like healthy cookies before with zero sugar stuff, like zero sugar brown sugar, zero sugar powdered sugar, and then like peanut butter powder, like PB Fit.
Sugar.
Yeah, PB Fit. It's just chemicals. Like when you think it's just like powdered chemicals. And then like you can, so fine. Like anyways, what I'm saying is like, people don't understand, who've never like sought out zero sugar stuff, how exciting it is when you go to the store and find a new zero sugar product on the shelf. And the other day, so I would I would eat zero sugar syrup a lot. Like I would make oatmeal pancakes and then I could put zero sugar syrup on it, and I could have sweet pancakes without the calories. It was great. Big fan. And I always wish that, there was different kinds of zero sugar syrups, but it's just the standard kind. And like 2 weeks ago, I went to the store to pick up some zero sugar syrup, and right next to it on the shelf was a new syrup. It was like strawberry flavored. Like if you go to like IHOP, you can get like blueberry syrup. It's like famous. That would have been better than strawberry, but yeah, it's like a flavored syrup. Like it was zero sugar strawberry syrup. Yep. And on the inside, I was so happy and excited to like see a new zero sugar product on the shelf. So my big thing is like zero sugar products. I love zero sugar soda. You can drink as many as you want. I love zero sugar Gatorade and any low calorie or zero sugar food, which is usually sweet stuff. Like it's always like muffins or cookies or whatever. Like it doesn't matter. I don't discriminate. I'll eat it.
Do they have those at the store, like zero sugar cookies?
Yeah, like you can buy the ones that you can make. Like Kodiak makes stuff now, and it's low sugar, but still
they do the pancakes too. Kodiak.
Yeah.
I thought they had a recall recently.
Oh, really? What isn't recalled these days?
I don't know, and I'm not sure how much stock to put in that either.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the world's
like there's like 10 people out of 10 billion.
Yeah, with the McDonald's one recently, the Big Macs that got recalled, it ended up being like like 2 people in an area got sick, and that's when they announced the recall.
Oh,
and it was like don't eat Big Macs at McDonald's. Yeah, it was E. coli.
Was that right after Trump was there?
Yeah, it was.
I think it was.
Yeah, but like when I actually saw how many people they reported before he didn't wash his hands on his shift. His 15-minute shift.
Is this an actual thing?
No, but like that's what they'll say. Didn't wash his hands. Wasn't wearing gloves. Yeah, like the number that they found before they were like, all right, that's enough to report the E. coli outbreak in Big Macs was like 3 people got sick.
Oh, okay.
Like
that's what I'm talking about. Like, okay.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know.
Just to cover themselves.
Don't know anything.
Liability-wise.
Yeah, I don't know anything about. To me, I'm like, well, maybe only 3 of the Big Mac patties had it. And it's like, well, maybe if they're like, that's not how it works. The entire 1,000 pack has E. coli. Yeah. Maybe what do I know? But I had a Big Mac that day anyway. Just kidding. Big Macs are healthy. There's my hot take. Put it in a reel. I don't care. So I recently, this is just how it works, man. Like when you're in like trying to eat healthy and you'll do anything to like get a low calorie meal in
or say anything or like Big Macs are healthy
or believe anything so that you can have whatever you want. Big Macs are like I think I discovered it when a guy made a video like if you're on the go, here are some fast food things you can eat, and tons of people do those, and this guy did Big Macs.
Yep.
And they're only like 585 calories.
Okay.
And the
seems like a lot.
Yeah, in a pinch. Normally, if you eat if you go to McDonald's and you eat a double quarter pounder, that's 1,000 calories.
Oh, all right. So
versus a Big Mac,
comparatively speaking,
they're a little lighter, and so they have like 40 grams of carbs. He said they're a great post-workout meal. They have 40 grams of carbs, and the beef patties for the Big Mac have 25 grams of protein.
So just like
and they're pretty low fat.
Breakdown by proteins and fats.
Yeah, they're not low fat, but they're like not a crazy high amount like a double quarter pounder or a Whopper. So in a pinch, that's all I needed to hear. It's like in a pinch, I don't have to feel guilty about eating a Big Mac. So now,
one random guy on TikTok.
Yeah, that like changed my brain chemistry. So like if the family's on the road and we're like, we got to stop McDonald's. Like I feel now that I know like the macros in a Big Mac, I don't feel as bad. Like, okay, I can get a Big Mac. It's not the worst thing in the world. Anyway.
At the most unhealthy restaurant ever. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you find yourself in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
Yeah.
It's okay to have a gummy bear instead of drinking chocolate.
And when they came out with the Big Mac chicken, they just recently had
I saw that.
Yeah, it's a chicken alternative or whatever.
Terrible?
I was like, oh, even better.
Right,
like even better. But I looked it up and it's more calories and it's like fried chicken. So it's like the chicken nuggets.
Why would they do that?
They're not good for you.
They're just trying to do something cool. Bring back the Crunch Wraps, man.
Dude, I know. The ranch.
Those
the
are
ranch
actually
ones?
only like 150 to 200 calories.
Oh, okay. With the ranch and the tortilla. A Big Mac's 585 calories. I believe a ranch wrap is 200 calories. I'll believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's look it up.
Dude, the ranch wraps were delicious.
Let's see. Yeah, they're so good. Yeah. And Burger King was doing them for a little while. And like if you went and you got like 1 or 2 of those and that's it.
Yeah. Pretty good.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Ranch wrap.
They're like
Mickey D's.
Their Chick-fil-A copy sandwich has got to be not that bad for you. It's the oils, man. They're just covered in oils. That's the problem. It's high calorie.
Okay, so grilled chicken, ranch chicken snack wraps. Snack wraps, that's what they're called.
Dude, snack
so
wraps.
good. 260 calories.
Yeah. I mean, they're like this big. But
they are one bite.
Yeah, those were, dude.
Those are pretty good.
I don't know if that guy got fired that took those off the menu. Like, what was he thinking?
I know.
Those are so good.
A lot of people like so many things. Like, people love the McRib. People like
that I don't get.
Like when the filet has returned, like something. I don't know.
Have you ever had a filet of fish?
No.
Neither have I.
I can't do it.
That is one of the great, like in my opinion, the filet of fish at McDonald's is like one of the world's like greatest enigmas. What are people doing eating a fillet of fish? I don't understand it.
In the same token, just buy a Big Mac.
Just get a Big Mac.
Your credibility is really wavering.
Well, I looked at like how much a fillet of fish cost one time, and I just don't think the cost benefit ratio is there.
Yeah.
It's like,
what about McChickens?
It's priced out. Well, the McChickens you can get on the dollar menu, or now it's the value menu for like $3 still, right? But a fillet of fish, it's not on there, and they price it like a.
Really?
Yeah, like a fillet of fish is like $5 or $6 or something crazy. It's not cheap, and I'm like, who likes them that much?
$6?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Like I said, cost benefit ratio.
That might be for the combo meal.
Not there. Yeah, I think the French fries and drink would make it cost more. I think that's the sandwich only.
Jeez, $4.59. $4.59.
I stand corrected.
Just the fish fillet.
I'll take it. I don't care.
Fillet of fish. Yeah, whatever.
Get the keyboard warriors going.
Okay, so
so zero sugar stuff. Like,
yeah,
whenever a new zero sugar product hits the shelf, what's funny about it is like it will not get past us. We will find it. Like, I know those shelves so well. I know Corwin knows those Walmart shelves so well that if there's a new zero sugar product on the shelf somewhere in the store, I walk into the doors and I can smell it. I can smell something's different. They brought in a new zero sugar product and I'm going to find it. It's like a treasure trove.
You walk in, what in the heck is that?
Is that strawberry sugar-free syrup I smell? So anyway, that is the big, Tyler's like making fun of me because like, what's the new administration going to do to zero sugar chemicals? They're going to pull them off the shelves. And I gotta be honest, I'm not so sure we should wrap zero sugar products into the same category as everything else that they're attacking.
Sure.
Which I completely agree with.
Yep.
I hold the line at zero sugar. Let's get like 50 more years of like data and research into it before we make any rash decisions.
Yeah, because the debate is against all the artificial sweeteners.
Yeah.
Right? Like the like aspartame and all of those kinds of chemicals and what they're doing. We don't really know.
Yeah.
I mean, they say that it's safe, but who says that? The FDA?
People trying to sell it. Or the people.
So, like, who really knows? I don't know. Peter Attia is a good source. He seems to think that it's because there was a lot of articles that came out for a while that was like it causes cancer and some neurodegenerative diseases, maybe something.
Okay,
but
I definitely feel
Peter
that.
Attia basically was like it would take an insane amount of the chemical in order to have any measurable effect. So,
yeah.
Anyway,
like dosage wise though, what does that mean? Like short period, like short bursts, or like over long?
No, like a lot in one day, like 12,
High
14 cans per day.
Ooh, at my lowest moments, I've gotten pretty close to that.
No, really?
No, not 14, but like
how many?
I mean, if I brought a 12-pack of Diet A&W home, like I could put back 4 or 5 of those in a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's not unreasonable. You know what that's like.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've gotten close. Let's talk about your zero sugar caffeine addiction.
I won't do it. It's perfectly fine for you.
Yeah.
Real talk, though, I think I'm going to get... It's hard when you got little babies, man, to like, all right, caffeine kicking now. I'm not doing it anymore. Yeah. It's like when you're up all night and you're traveling for work like I do, it's like, dude, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know when is a good time. Like, honestly, I'm probably home for a couple of weeks now. Like, I think.
Give it a shot.
I wonder.
It's going to suck the first 3 days.
I know. Ibuprofen would help, though. Did you take ibuprofen when you were
Yeah, I took
free?
a little bit of acetaminophen here and there if I needed it.
Yeah.
And I think it helped. Yeah, I think it helped.
Yeah, I could probably do it.
Yeah. You know what's nice about that stuff though? Like on dry, like
caffeine?
what could you do with all the drinks they have available nowadays? Like Jolly Rancher flavored, sugar-free,
delicious
energy drinks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're delicious. Like, is that gonna be better for you than
the alternative?
Which is used to be like like you and I, like if we were going on a 4-hour road trip 6 years ago, like I'm bringing Sour Patch Kids and Rips and Pringles, like, like, you know what I mean? Like to a certain extent, like, yeah, I'll drink a couple monsters, a couple zero sugar monsters, because it's almost like replaces your snacking too. Like
definitely. Or if it's just water, it's just like,
it's not the same.
Yeah.
I'd rather drink a zero sugar soda than eat, candy.
Yeah.
We can't do that anymore. Like
no,
31 and 34, like
33,
33, like that's
33 and a half.
You can't just do that anymore.
No. Yeah, life changes. I don't know.
Don't take RFK. Don't take the zero sugar soda away, please.
Yes, please. Robert
Please.
Kennedy Jr.
What if they like taxed it or something?
Yeah,
Put a special tax on.
it's already expensive enough.
Sugar-free stuff.
Like energy drinks are expensive enough.
Yeah, it used to be way more. They're pretty cheap compared. Yeah, like Monsters used to be like $3.69 a can. Now they're like selling them for like, $2 a can, and a buy one get one's $3. Like, they've made them pretty accessible. But compared to sodas, yeah, they're expensive. Yep. Yeah, a soda is like 40 cents a can. I know that because of restaurants. Yeah. Yep.
You know that because you run a restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah. Comparatively, they're expensive.
What kind of healthy habits can you instill in your kids? That's something I'm thinking about lately because when I was growing up, we didn't really have a lot when I was younger. But like when I got old enough to have my own place and stuff, like, dude, I went crazy. Like I would live off of like ramen noodles and like Tony's pizzas and.
Yeah, I still would if I wasn't careful. Dude, every once in a while that ramen crate like hits and it's like, I need some ramen.
A cup of noodles too from like the skating rink. Oh,
yeah, it's so good. Yeah, the food
they hit different.
The food thing with the kids is tough. I've always struggled with that. Like, especially
the more information that's coming out about food.
Yeah,
and the links to literal like disease.
Yeah, you can't do anything right. Like you're gonna have this disease or that disease. But aside from that, I feel like teaching my kids to have a healthy mindset about food is no more a mystery than any other parenting thing that haven't figured out yet. I've gotten advice from people and heard how other people do it, and I think that they're great, and if I did them, they'd be great. But like, I don't know. It's just a mystery. Like, I feel like any other parenting thing that you're not sure how to go about. That's how I feel with the food thing with my kids. How to instill healthy habits, and not be sure if what I'm doing is kind of just a shot in the dark or not. I will see if it works when they're older. We'll see if what I did worked. That's how I feel.
You're talking more about the healthy habits versus the food they're eating.
Healthy habits versus as opposed to the food they're eating. Yeah. Okay. Like the literal food they're eating, like when to stop eating, how to know if you're full, but also like, because the challenge is doing that without, hurting their psyche. Like that's the problem that a lot of parents feel is how do you teach your kids about food without having like a reverse effect
when they're like gone,
damaging them.
When they're on their own, they're like, oh, now I get to eat what I want.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically it could be as simple as the worst way to go about it to demonstrate what I'm talking about is if your idea of good parenting about healthy food habits was to constantly tell your kids at dinner, you don't need more. If you eat more, you'll get fat. What do you think that's going to do to them? What do you think they're going to be like when they're older?
Yeah.
That's not going to help. That's going to have a reverse psychology effect. That's like the extreme example. I don't know. I haven't figured out the best way to teach my kids about healthy food habits.
Yep.
I'm still working on it.
What a first world problem though.
It is.
Like think about it in the global scale.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Like some of the stuff that Pat Harney was saying in episode 12, I think it was.
Yeah. It's definitely
like, the mindset there is like, if you've got food, it's not like you save it for later. It's like you eat it now.
Yeah.
And then you go find out what your next meal is.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
We do not have.
We don't. But also, I will push back on that a little bit. I know
that you can't. No, not allowed.
Okay. Never mind. Yeah, I feel like that's RFK's thing is we live in a country where this is exactly how he frames it, which I find kind of refreshing, but also like, man, people aren't going to take that very well. His whole shtick is not at all what you and I would hear on some of the things that we listen to, which is discipline equals freedom. Put your big boy pants on. Have healthy habits. Exercise. That's not what RFK is saying. His main message has been: we live in a country where we have no choice but to eat unhealthy. And I think that that's a wild assertion, but there is some truth to it. Like, yes, we're not Africa. Yeah, we're not poor areas in other places in the world besides Africa because they're not the only ones. We're not. Yeah, yes, we're not that. But like, we're also not a lot of European countries and places that their laws protect the citizens when it comes to food. We're also not that. To a certain degree, can just put it this way. If in 50 years, our law system was set up that only artificial foods that were terrible for us were legal, would you have any control over the food that you ate unless you moved out of this country?
Right.
No, you wouldn't. And that's kind of like where he's going with that is the country's headed that direction. We are being forced to eat this crap because year after year after year, little else of anything real is accessible to us. And we live in Loudville, New York. And unless we move, there's nothing we can do about that. So that's kind of like, I kind of agree with that. Like, yes, to a certain degree, there's just not a lot we can do. The food that we see at the grocery store is what we have access to, unless you farm your own food and want to go that route.
Yep.
So that makes it hard to like tell your kids what they should and shouldn't eat, because then it's the whole parenting principle of practice what you preach. Well, I can't really, because what's on the shelf is for my kid is also what's on the shelf for me. And I don't really know how to go about that. I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah.
Like,
we
have the food available to us.
I've actually been thinking about that recently, with like the diet that my kids have, or the diet that we have. Like, we do eat a lot of chicken and rice and lean meats and stuff, but also like we snack, and like the stuff that's there for snacking is no good. But even when you go to the store and like look at like stuff that's good for you in air quotes, like there's stuff on that. It's sprayed with stuff. It's artificial everything.
The chicken that you eat has it's grain fed and has all of that stuff in it. The rice that you eat has arsenic in it. It's like, unless you grow your own stuff, you're like sacrificing somewhere.
Yeah. Or if you're buying like local from a farmer directly, and even then the farmer has to be like grass fed beef. What does that mean?
Right.
It's like,
it means they sit in a stall and get fed grass once a day. And that grass comes from who knows where. Like, that doesn't necessarily mean they're pasture raised. Like, it's
right.
There's a lot of misinformation out there that makes it confusing.
Yeah. It's hard to eat healthy.
Yeah.
And like, if you go to, I don't even know how healthy, if you went to like Whole Foods, like how healthy the food is there.
Yeah, there's no trust.
I can't imagine it's maybe a smidge better.
I don't know that
but
it is.
It's so expensive.
It's too expensive.
And a little bit of RFK's thing is kind of like, if you're a lower income, or if you're on food stamps, or if you're on whatever, like, you don't have an option but to eat the
cheap stuff that you can get the
that's
most
terrible
of.
For you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it is interesting how in the last like 10 years, and maybe not, maybe the generation before us had this same problem. I wasn't there, but like, I feel like for me in the last 10 years, the question has gone from how do we teach our kids healthy eating habits more on the side of like moderation and what's the good amount to eat, to now it's like, what do you eat is a more important question.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
That's wild. I heard a nutritionist talking about how like the Cheerios that you ate when you were a kid aren't the Cheerios that our kids are eating now. A lot more ingredients. It's just nonstop. It's kept going. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I have to imagine that it's all in an effort to make food cheaper. I think it's it's probably related to competition among manufacturers.
Mass production.
Yeah.
Tyler mentioned
less flaws
too,
in
like
the product means less error.
There was probably a use for it.
Yeah.
Talking about world hunger and whatever, but now we have the complete opposite problem.
Yeah.
People are dying of chronic diseases and we don't know why.
Yeah. There is maybe it used to be competition driven, like whoever can make the most amount of food for the cheapest cost of production, and all of this stuff added into it, these inputs that got put into these foods, the more inputs they had, the somehow helped that process. But nowadays, if you look at, guy made a video that I watched of, if you go into the cereal aisle at Walmart and you look at all the cereal boxes and cereal bags that are lined up on the shelf, like 2 or 3 companies own every single brand.
Yeah, like Kellogg's.
Yeah, like Kellogg's owns like 2/3 of the cereals that you see.
Yeah, Coca-Cola.
And so maybe there isn't a whole lot of competition left. And this is what we were talking about last time, is like, how much are monopolies being allowed nowadays? But nowadays, maybe competition isn't the driving force anymore because there just isn't as much competition. I gotta believe it's just, you have to think that these inputs have driven cost of production lower, but because there's no competition, the incentive no longer is to make your prices lower than your competitor so that your thing sells the best. The incentive nowadays is, let's drive our cost of production down so that we can keep our prices the same and our profits goes up.
Right.
We don't have to lower our prices. Our cost of production has gone down, and because we've bought everything on the shelf, because we've bought every company around us, we can keep our prices the same. So nowadays, cost of production is driven down just for the sake of profit, not competition. When you look at the cereal aisle and you see that 2 or 3 companies own every cereal, that's common sense to me. That these inputs are to drive cost of production down and prices are being kept the same because it's more money in their pocket.
Yeah, makes
when
sense.
there's no competition, what else could it be? I don't know.
It's kind of scary to think about.
Yeah.
Like are we literally poisoning ourselves? Seems that way.
Yeah.
Like, why are we one of the worst countries for chronic disease? We're the richest country.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Where does that entangle with pharmaceuticals and the push for repeat selling of drugs and how that economy is bolstered up by that too? And how much is it? Yeah. Which one is to blame for our chronic disease? Is it the fact that we want to keep selling people medicine? Or is it that or is it all connected? Is it a cycle, like bad food, doctor, medicine sales, bad food, doctor, medicine sales? Like maybe that's more realistic. It's this ingenious cycle.
Yep.
We should see how, to know if the average citizen could see how many conflicts of interest there were between food companies and pharmaceutical companies, that would be pretty eye-opening. But even if people had access to that information, what we would do with it, it's hard to unite a country on a single issue.
Yeah.
Nobody does anything.
And at the very least, I think RFK is saying, like, we're going to look into it.
Yeah.
Which hasn't been happening.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of faith that anything's going to get done. Kind of like the Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, Doge. Department of Governmental Efficiency. I don't know that that's going to really do anything because people are the way that they're advertising it, and same as RFK, is we're just going to get in there and eliminate as if those things don't have to go through the legislative process.
Right.
So I think it's nice to advertise it like we're going to just, have sweeping change.
Yeah.
But these departments also answer to legislative process, and
we know how that runs.
Yeah, it's slow, and what can get done in 4 years. Unfortunately, we don't have 8 years anymore because Trump already wasted 4. Like as far as this stuff goes.
Yeah.
And so again, we only have 4 years, and there's not much that can get done. I don't think. These bureaucratic hearings, and I don't know. I just don't have faith that it's great. It's going to make Twitter interesting for the next 4 years, but like,
yeah, it's good entertainment.
I think we need to remember, kind of like how I was saying in one of the other podcasts, that let's at the end of the 4 years, let's see how many people Trump's fired, and that'll be a good measure for did we vote right? Did the people who voted for Trump vote correctly? Yeah. This will be a good one too. At the end of the 4 years, let's take an account of how many inefficient departments were actually nixed.
Dealt with, or regulated 1, 2, or whatever.
3, like. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's nice to have somebody who is fit and has a background in the legal matter of things, in charge of
protection.
Yeah, in charge of with a knowledge of how the justice system works and how to attack these problems. Yeah, it's great to have somebody qualified in charge.
And at least if we could get maybe some answers in this administration, maybe that would be a good stepping stone toward fixing some of it. Because I feels like a lot of it is known, like under the surface, like most people know what we're putting into our bodies is probably having negative effects. Yeah. But like, what is it? Right. Like, how have we not studied this in depth, and why can we not get the information we need? Yeah. And then maybe it does foster some kind of change. Like if whole entire other countries can regulate the ingredients in your food, why can't we do that?
So I don't think it's a matter of why can't, it's why don't we? And I think we all know the answer why. Yeah.
Money.
Money. There's people in the FDA that get paid by Kellogg's and Multimeal and all these, and all these dairy, like everybody's getting paid. That's what people think, and I'm sure that there's some truth to it. There's people's pockets are getting lined to keep that from happening. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think what was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, hold on to that thought, and I'll reset some cameras. We'll come back. We'll finish on this, and then I want to get into just what parenting is looking like for you these days. Dope. Or even fitness, or both. Yeah, sure. All the random stuff.
I'm an expert in it all. Bring it on.
All right, stay tuned, everybody.
If only.
Actually, just gonna keep that one running. All right, we're back, dude. Yeah, we were talking on the break about famous people drinking water. What is that about, dude? Really?
uncomfortable
Like,
on camera.
why can Zuckerberg not drink water, or Trump, or
Like,
Obama? Dude, there's 300 cameras on you.
Yeah.
And Trump is like holding it like
With two hands, holding a teeny water bottle with two hands.
Zuckerberg taking the most ridiculous sip, like he just looks like he's an alien or something.
Lizard people. Oh man.
Yeah, finishing up on that last point. I think that I'm gonna start. Some of the stuff I've been reading is just like, maybe. I mean, I would love to say it comes back to your point. Like, I would love to say just eat lean meats and healthier foods and stuff like that. But it's like, what ones, and is it actually healthy? Probably healthier.
Get ready for a pretty, modest diet if you do. Just stick to that stuff. Like, get creative with how to make meat. Different ways of doing your ground beef and whatnot. Because it's not a lot you can do if you're not buying the other stuff.
But why can people go to like Italy and they're like, oh man, the pasta there is so good. It's like,
I don't know. I've heard that too. I've heard it from people that I know that say the same thing, and I haven't experienced that myself.
Why does their pasta taste better with less ingredients?
Yeah, I don't know.
I just watched. Oh my gosh, I should have had this queued up to watch. This guy did a taste testing for Fruit Loops, Canadian, U.S.
Oh, really?
Taste testing, and he said, like, he's reading off the thing. It's like it was actually like blueberry juice and like all these things were the ingredients for the extract and the flavors. Yep. And then he taste tested them and picked the Canadian one that tastes way better. Like, so then what are we doing?
Yeah, better tasting.
If it tastes better and it's better for you,
isn't as profitable, I guess.
Is it all optics? Is it like, oh, children will just eat the cereal that's the brightest?
Yeah, I think it's just way cheaper. I mean, they can make it as bright as they want on TV. They don't have an issue with that.
Maybe it's a cost thing.
Once it hits the bowl, you've already purchased it. It's just how bright is the box? Like how colorful does it look on the box?
How much?
I honestly think it's just too costly to work with blueberry farmers and cherry farmers and strawberry farmers and lime farmers it's just cheaper to manufacture your own flavors.
Okay, let's see.
It's why companies vertically and horizontally integrate all the time. They want to control their process because they can do it cheaper.
Yep.
And they're not going to start a blueberry farm. It's cheaper to pay a scientist to come up with the flavor. Like, I just think that it's just cost of production trying to get lower and lower and lower. It's definitely not cheaper to extract the flavor from a real blueberry made on a real farm. Like, the companies don't want to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. It's too expensive.
Yep. Oh man, dude, these are hilarious.
So we get all this artificial stuff.
Yeah, it's just like big picture, small picture.
Yeah, like how many? Like we're only talking about one ingredient here, like the farmers and the fruits. Like there are tons of other, like there's sugar and stuff like in cereals. But if we just harp on the farming aspect of what used to go into cereals, how many like specialized farms went out of business when cereals stopped using real fruit in their flavors? I don't know. I'm sure a lot. Like, it doesn't help when these companies, again, this is just simple vertical integration. When a company wants to control every part of its manufacturing process, other businesses go out of business. That's just how it works. So not only does Kellogg's own 2/3 of the cereal boxes, but now Kellogg's owns, if they still want to farm their ingredients, guess who owns the farms? Kellogg's. We all know this about Tyson Chicken. Do you think Tyson Chicken doesn't own their chicken farms? They 100% do. That's less chicken farmers out there because of Tyson Chicken. I don't know. I just think that definitely doesn't help the overall robustness of the economy. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but it's cheaper.
Macroeconomics. Mm-hmm. How'd you do in that class?
I did not like microeconomics or macroeconomics. Wasn't
or
my
any
favorite.
economics.
I wasn't an economics major. I don't understand why I had to take it.
Yeah. Why didn't you like it?
It's difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult and abstract, and I'm a literal thinker, and so it was tough for me to like watch the professor go up to any business major who had to take a macro or a microeconomics class understands this analogy I'm about to make. When the professor stands at the front of the room and says, company A produces X amount of widgets. They call them widgets. That's a general term for production units. They call them widgets. Like, this drove me crazy. Like, it's these imaginary scenarios. I'm just like a numbers on paper, got to see them kind of person. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're more a businessman.
Yeah. economists make way more money than I do. So like kudos to them, but I'm like a literal person, not a imaginary numbers kind of person.
Fascinating.
But, anyway.
Fascinating. Okay. So with food, how does that translate into like what we can do with our exercise?
Yeah, I'm a big believer. Well, it's just fact. Like diet and nutrition is better for you than as far as like, if we're talking just like weight loss management or weight management, nutrition is 90% of the solution.
Yeah.
And you got to look at it like this. If you're talking about just weight management, nutrition is 90% of the solution. If you're talking about a healthy bone structure and muscular structure and like blood flow and this and that, I think that's 90% exercise. But I think sometimes they're conflated. Like exercise isn't going to get you nearly as far in your weight management part of your life as diet and nutrition. And diet and nutrition isn't going to get you nearly as far in your bone density and muscular growth as your exercise will. Or your cardiovascular health.
So you should look at them as two totally different things.
I think so. I think they work hand in hand because one achieves like a healthy functioning of your system and of certain systems in your body, and the other achieves healthy functioning of the other systems in your body. And I think we place a little bit too much importance on one or the other in the wrong scenarios. And that's why we always hear. I think that's the broad explanation of a very general. That's the specific explanation of a very general thing that we hear, that everybody hears all the time, is that your diet and nutrition and your exercise, they should work hand in hand. It's because they both serve different purposes.
Right. Because if they both did the same things, then you could just prescribe one thing.
Life would be way too easy, number one, and that's not how it works. But you could just do one, and you can't. If you can eat super, super healthy, but if you don't exercise, you are going to lack a lot of things like healthy bone density, which correlates directly towards longevity in life. Yeah. Especially as you age. Yep. Less arthritis, less you hold on to your muscle better. If you have a higher bone density, you retain muscularity better, which is one of the biggest things as you get older that can benefit you is higher bone density and higher retention of muscle.
How do you increase bone density?
Lifting heavy weights. That's what they say.
That's what they say.
Yeah, lifting heavy weights. But that is exercise, I think, is way more complicated than diet and nutrition. I think that diet and nutrition is very straightforward. You get your vitamins and your minerals, and you have a healthy, well-balanced diet. Nowadays, the arguments of like carnivore and keto and all these new ideas are presenting themselves. But if we just go with the idea of a healthy, well-balanced diet where the body's macronutrients, its vitamins, and its minerals are being met, that's pretty simple and straightforward, right? Yep. The exercise, I think, is a little bit more. It's a lot more complicated because if you want to increase your bone density and retain your bone density into the older years of your life, they say lift heavy weights. Well. Okay. Not that easy because a lot of people, you know how they say like just eat less calories and you'll lose weight, and people make the argument, well, not everybody, but it's like, yes, everybody. That actually is how it works. Well, exercise is like not like that. Exercise, you can actually make the argument that not everybody can do everything. Yeah. So lift heavy weights to get higher bone density. If I tried to lift heavy weights, I'm a little older. I'm not 20 years old anymore. Mm-hmm. If I just go into the gym and I lift heavy weights, even if I worked up to it and I lifted heavy weights, I'll get injured. Like your tendonitis sets in. Your plantar fasciitis might start to set in. You might have some shoulder pain, your rotator cuff issues. Not everybody can just get in there and lift heavy weights, even if they work up to it, which is the healthy way of doing it. Yep. I definitely do give more of the benefit of the doubt to some of those issues that people have. I've experienced it personally. There are people that probably will never be able to lift the heavy weights needed to massively increase your bone density. If some people just aren't going to be able to deadlift consistently for 20 years, 550 pounds, which would go a long way in increasing your bone density, but they'll never be able to do it. That's me. Like I'll never be able to bench 350 pounds. I'll never be able to squat 450 pounds. I'll never be able to do those heavy weights for a long period of time because I just don't think that my body will accept that kind of training. So exercise, I think, is solving the problem of how do you age gracefully and keep your body healthy on the exercise side of things, I think is a little trickier than the nutrition side of things because people's bodies respond differently to the same stimulus. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah. It's a little tougher to figure that part out.
Let me read this. This is from foundmyfitness.com, which is Dr. Rhonda Patrick's podcast and her blog, or all of her research is done on here.
Resistance training. Yeah. That's what
So she says she's wonderful. I'm a huge fan. Very practical, down to earth, very involved in molecular science, and how it pertains to fitness. So she does a lot of expertise in sauna use and cold plunging, your cold therapy. Yep. And
heat shock proteins.
Yep. And also she talks a lot about just the breakdowns in the cells and how everything works. Like way smarter than me. She's on like Dr. Huberman's level. Yeah. Like that same kind of idea. Yeah. Resistance training exercises exert powerful forces on the bones, slowing bone loss and promoting bone accretion. Engaging in resistance exercise for bone health takes on greater significance as we age, as bone mass decreases markedly, especially in women. Who comprise of nearly 80% of all osteoporosis cases.
Big issues with
arthritis. So huge. And so actually she would go on to say, I've seen a few of her videos on this about just muscle mass and bone density and longevity. Dude.
Resistance training is, so lifting heavy weights is not resistance training. Lifting heavy weights is a form of resistance training. Resistance training is not lifting heavy weights. So that means any amount you can do, you will have a long-term benefit. So the more you can do, the better, I think, is the idea. So definitely do resistance training, and you don't have to deadlift 500 pounds and squat 400 and bench 350. The more you can do, the better.
Any kind of market,
just do it. Be healthy.
Change. That's what she says.
I think
here, right?
Even some people would just struggle to even do the minimum. Like everybody's body's different, and I think that the rate of success would go up for even those people that are a little more sensitive to that type of training, who would have injury come easily. If they figured out how to like stretch their bodies better, or dynamic stretching, static stretching, therapies, I think that these are problems that you can solve. You can stave off injury, but how do you do that? Well, you introduce a whole nother science to help prop up. It's a lot. It's a lot for the average person anybody can just eat fewer calories. Yeah. Not everybody can. We see it with athletes all the time. They have optimized sleep. They have the best injury prevention doctors. They have 14 different specialists that they see to like be able to support, to help them keep their body in a place where they can even do the type of training that they do. The average person can't do that. The average person is quite prone to injury.
Makes sense.
But as much resistance training as you can do will only benefit you. So, I think the more you can do, the better is what it seems like. Yeah.
Let me reset just one thing here. That one's still going. I think that one's still going. I'm just going to reset one. We'll come back and we're going to talk. I want to talk a little bit more about this, and then we'll just finish up with a kind of like a highlight of who's coming on and what we got coming. So, that sound good?
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back. And we're back. Everybody loves that. I wanted to say that I think a lot of times it's so easy to over-optimize everything. You get caught and fall down into if you fail one day, now it's all a failure.
Yeah, I believe that too, but the thing with exercise is I know how easy it is to injure yourself if you're not careful. And so that actually does create setbacks. And I understand people struggle with wanting to optimize. Most people just jump into it and get hurt. And then they're like, all right, I need to optimize before I do this.
Well, you're a good example. You're on day what of 75 hard?
Yeah, I wanted 22, and I threw my back out, and that's 3 months down the drain after that. Like, you got to rest for 3 months before you're back to normal.
Yeah, so you'd have to counteract with your to help keep the weight off and keep your gains.
Yeah,
you have to diet. A lot of protein.
Yeah,
dude.
Literally you're sedentary, so you just got to back off your calories by 1,000, which sucks. Yeah, but it's a lot simpler than that's an easy solution. I think the nutrition side's a lot easier.
It's a lot easier than gaining the weight back and starting all over again.
Yeah. What do you think about the whole, I have thyroid issues argument, and people that, kind of pull that that rabbit out of the hat when you calories in, calories out rebuttal.
I'm not sure.
I don't know enough about it either, but
I would like to have. It would be fun to have somebody on that's an expert in that.
That would be great. I'd love to hear it.
We could try to find some
First
people.
question I'd ask him is, does when the thyroid's not working correctly, does it somehow transform 5 calories into 500 calories? Because
that's kind of like that's what they say. Like, I'm eating healthy and I'm still gaining weight.
Yeah, I don't,
because of the thyroid issue. Yeah, I'm just not. I don't really have a super opinion on it because I don't. I would have opinions on it, but I wouldn't have enough to say publicly. I don't have enough knowledge.
Yeah, me neither. Someone's got to make it make sense to me, because I just don't. I can't even see, like, our bodies need energy to run, and when you give it energy, it runs. If you give it too much, it stores it. If you give it not enough, it burns it. Like, we are physical beings. Like, what else?
I don't know, man.
No, it's the law of thermodynamics. I'm not following.
I'm just not super. I just think discipline and diet and exercise, what you put your energy in, can counteract a lot of things that are said are hang-ups. I know people who would say that there's genetic predispositions to things. Mm-hmm. I just don't know how much that affects, because we know people who struggle with that and then have other family members who are not that way. That have chosen a different lifestyle. I have some friends in Connecticut that are like that too. It's like, so how much of it is?
Yeah, your personal choices versus your.
Yeah, I don't know. Discipline level. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if the science would even be conclusive on that, because then you start to get into psychology a little bit.
Yeah.
So you're kind of merging some pretty major fields.
It seems a lot easier just to tell yourself, I'm not going to gain weight on 1,200 calories of food. Like, no one would. And I'm not a grown adult, unless you're, 4 feet 7 inches and you're, 95 pounds. But, like, you know what I mean? The average person, the average grown adult, you're, even if you had, a genetic predisposition, or, I don't know, I'm speaking out of turn, but I feel like you can employ a certain level of discipline and still survive, and, like, you'll probably lose weight. Maybe it is more of a discipline issue. Like, we're not willing to be as disciplined as we need.
Well, we can't say that.
Yeah, I can't say it. Not allowed.
It's not.
Too many hurt feelings.
We're not interested in hurting people's feelings anymore.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a bummer. I mean, the goal is not to hurt people's feelings. The goal is, it's just a hard thing when you're trying to speak truth or you're trying to help somebody. It's the old pick yourself up by the bootstraps argument. It's like the tough love. Yep. If it's done poorly, it can come across like pretty nasty or pretty whatever or hurtful. But if it's done the right way, saying like, look, I care for you, and like, I know that you're gonna do better if you can do X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. Like, it's gonna be better for your life. It's gonna be better for your health. That's true with anything. And that's true with actions and families and broken homes and legacies of destruction, like, passed down for generations, and like what they say, breaking generational curses. The reason that people break generational curses is because they're intentional about breaking the curse and doing something different. Yeah.
Yeah. We're great at making excuses at a lot of things. And
yeah. And so what kind, is it a personality thing too? Like, if you're responsible for something in your life that you're not doing well enough, is your personality or your internal inventory to say, it's not my fault, it's somebody else's fault? Or is it to say, I'm the reason I'm not where I want to be. I can make small changes every day over the long term and get better?
It's a good question, because it's hard for me because I'm a numbers on paper objective kind of person. It's hard for my default to not be, once you turn 18 and you're an adult, you are judged the same as everybody else. Mm. And instead of giving consideration for people's, now we're getting into psychology again. Like, well, how is your past shaped why you are this way versus your personality shaping why you are, or a combination of the two of them? I would just, if I was exhibiting my unhealthy, the way I am, in an unhealthy way, I would look at everyone the same and just say, no, you're a grown person. Like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and stop making excuses. And I think some people need to hear that, but you can't whitewash, I think, because then you're treating everyone the same and not giving any consideration for experiences and personalities, which I think personalities are a thing. I don't think personalities are entirely experience based. I think that personalities are added to by experience, but I think that we're all born unique. And have thoughts and feelings that are unique and
temperament,
somewhat shared.
There's actually
somewhat
some
unique.
genetic arguments for that as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I know it's a good question because I have to be careful not to whitewash and say you're a grown adult. I'm going to look at you the same way I look at that person, and you're responsible but you can't always do that. And it's not. If you want to be effective too, it's not going to be received well.
Exactly. I think that's kind of the point. What's the ultimate goal?
Yeah.
The ultimate goal is just to point your finger in somebody's face and tell them that they're doing something wrong. Then maybe keep your mouth shut.
Yeah. No matter how good it would feel to do that. Yeah.
Maybe you're the lead by example kind of person, Yeah. But I am so much like I don't complain about shortcomings in my life on anybody else. Like, it's me.
Yeah.
If I want to lose weight, it's up to me.
Yeah.
If I want to stop snacking, it's up to me. If I want to do better in my marriage, which I do, it's up to me. I fall short all the time. And when I fall short, it's very easy in some situations to just it's not my fault. But the reality is that it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't have the answers, so nobody here should think that I have the answers because I'm struggling with a lot of things.
The longer you go, do you find that the longer you go, the way that you're going in your life and how your marriage and your parenthood and all that's developing more and more over time, that it's easier to say that to yourself, like, oh, no, this is my problem. Like, is it easier to not blame the people around you the older you get? Like, do you struggle with that the same as you did 10 years ago, or most people did 10 years ago? You think?
I'm so much more...
Personal accountability come any easier to you nowadays?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
about it a lot more.
Yeah.
There's so many more aspects of my life that I need improvement on.
And being able to have
nobody should come to me and ask for marriage advice. Nobody should really come and ask me for fatherhood advice yet. I have an almost 3-year-old. Don't come ask me. Yeah. I'm working on a lot of things internally. It's easier for me. I'm not talking about in the moment. When you're in the middle of an argument, it's very easy, with your wife to be like, it's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. But then give it some space and time. And I'm introspective enough to be like, if I could have just not reacted that way, or if I could have
be
just
honest with yourself.
Yeah. If I could have just handled that so much better, the whole thing would have not been as big of an issue as it is. Yeah. So I definitely, and with my kids too, and with my work and with whatever I'm doing, I'm trying to work on me.
Yeah. I think it takes humility. It starts with humility, and then it takes discipline to try to remain in that mindset. Situation after situation after situation, year after year after year, and that's what I would say to somebody who that mindset is the farthest thing from reality. They're so deep in the blame game, and that's just where they are in their life, and they've always been there. There's a way out, but it's going to take just as many years of practice, and it does get easier. I think it gets easier too.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah,
you would think that. I think it's just maturity.
Could be.
It doesn't mean that you can become more mature without being humble enough.
Yeah.
I'm a perfectionist by nature. So I want my kids to see the best in me. And that only happens when I'm killing off the parts of me that are not good. And those come out, unfortunately. And that's just, that's unfortunate reality of it. It's you don't wake up one day and you're better at something. Yeah. It's kind of, 2 steps forward, 1 step back a lot of times.
Yeah. Obviously the good thing about that growth process is that if it were that way, you wouldn't be exposing your kids to the growth process.
Right. Yeah.
You'd be exposing them to a reality that doesn't exist. Yeah. And there is some encouragement there for parents that perfection doesn't exist, and your kids do need to see you struggle to a certain degree, so that they grow up with realistic expectations on what growth looks like. Yeah. Because that could hamper them too. How many stories do you hear of dads that are too hard on their kids, and the boys grow up thinking that perfection is attainable because that's just how their dad was. It's an age-old story. So I think it's good for kids to observe at their different, like at toddlerhood than at, you know, at different stages on how they see your flaws and how they think about your flaws, to see that growth in real time. So they grow up understanding that they're going to have some growing to do too. And it's okay. Yeah. That's actually what's natural.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like that with like almost all fields. Like when I'm looking at like if I'm thinking I'm having too much caffeine, it's my problem. I could blame it on my work. I could blame it on how much I travel. I can blame it on having little kids, or I could just, if it's something that really matters to me, then do it. Yeah. And a lot of the circles that I'm listening to, it's like, if you're not accomplishing or pursuing that goal, it doesn't mean that much to you. Mm-hmm. Not really, not enough to do something about it. Right. So how much does it matter to you? Mm-hmm. Like my marriage is very important to me. So like I will keep working at it. Yeah. Cause like I have a lot of imperfections that need work.
Yeah. And I think we all have our moments, even in our important things like our marriage and our parenthood, where we catch ourselves slacking. And I've thought that too, like, wow, I am really conveying the message in this particular issue that I don't care about our marriage. And like, that hurts. Like that hurts me when I catch myself slacking. Like, you cannot convey the message that you don't care. And you certainly can't go a long period of time conveying that message, because your spouse needs to know that you care. Your kids need to know that you care. And so that happens. And that's growth. Like no one is perfect, and we are going to have spots in our life where we catch ourselves slacking. Like, man, I'm just not caring enough about my wife in this moment. A good example in my marriage is Brielle is like a very high quality time person. Like that is what, if I gave her quality time in excess every single day, if I had the ability to do that with, didn't have a job, didn't have things to do around the house, like she would feel full all the time.
Validated.
Yeah. And she did this, she played this joke on me the other day and I didn't even see it coming. Like I didn't know, my radar must not have been up, because when I saw what she had done, I was like, oh, I didn't even know that, because she was serious. Yeah. But she did it in a joking way, which I appreciate, because one way can lead to an argument and the other way can de-escalate. And she chose the de-escalating way. But when I saw what she had done, I was surprised by it. And that was a moment where I caught myself slacking. She had put a sign on her back with a paperclip that said, "In need of quality time." And she was just wearing it around the house. And that was like a joke to me. And it was hilarious, and we laughed about it. But when I saw that sign, I was like, I didn't even notice. Like normally if she says, "I need some quality time," I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I know why you're saying that. I can see, I can trace back the last 3 days of how busy we've been. Like, but the other night she had done that, and it was like, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't notice. Like, didn't know that you needed quality time. Like must not have been paying attention. And, and the sign kept showing up at different parts in the house. And anyway, and so I can look at that and be like, if I were to look at that sign in the joke that she made and completely disregard it and like emotionally have no response to it, that's slacking. Like that's not caring about your marriage. Yeah. But when I saw that sign, I'm like, I'm alarmed that I didn't notice, and I cared that I didn't notice, and I didn't like that I didn't notice before she had to say something. And like, it's little things like that you got to make sure that you're like, giving yourself an evaluation. Like, how do I care, or how do I feel about caring about my marriage? Okay, I care about my marriage. I'm good. Like, ask yourself, and like in this situation, how you respond to things can be kind of a good gauge. Like I said, if I looked at that sign or that joke that she had made where she was expressing an actual need and thought, I don't care, that's not good. No. Like, that's not good.
It's not good.
I'm good right now.
Introspectively for you, it's not good, but like, what kind of message are you sending to your spouse?
Not a good one. Yeah.
I think the same is true when you're working. Like if you're late for work and you tell your boss it was because of 7 other things, right? Dogging my homework doesn't look great to a boss. Even like,
just own things in your life. Yeah. Like, if you're involved, own it.
Yep. Like, take responsibility for it.
Yeah. Now more than ever, because don't we live in a world where that advice that piece of advice, like own your own mistakes and own the circumstances around you when you're involved. Like, that's advice that's been given for the last 50 years. Yeah. And except like no one's been taking it.
Except for like I would even say the last generation. Yeah. Like the last couple of generations, that's not been it.
So now more than ever, like, what do we tell our kids? This is the same thing we tell our kids. Own your mistakes. Don't lie. the consequences, the repercussions will be less if you do. It's an age-old parenting tactic. Does that help? How often does that actually motivate the kids to tell the truth? Not very often. We gotta talk about the hard issue later. But like that often will not stop a kid from lying to you later because they're what? Too afraid of the consequences. No matter how much you say the consequences will be less, kids will just think, I'm too afraid of the consequences. Well, that's the same thing that's happening as an adult. Like you lie to your boss about why you're late, or you make excuses about why you're late, or why you didn't have the project turned in on time, or why you didn't have the work thing done in time. Now more than ever, praise will be heaped on you for telling the truth because it is so lacking in today's world that now, really, for the first time potentially in history, now the consequences, they won't be less. They'll probably look at you better for it, which is how it always has been in reality.
That's how it should be. Really.
Honesty should always be rewarded. Yep. But like, yeah, if you go to work and you're like, I'm sorry I was late. I made the mistake. It's my fault. But you're going to like surprise the pants off your boss because they haven't heard that from their other people in God knows how long. Like honesty doesn't exist in our world anymore.
Even if it is something out of your control, to frame it in a way to take responsibility for it, to say, I could have left earlier, or I should have checked how long it was going to take me on Google Maps, or like whatever in the morning. If you know that you're in a high traffic area, whatever, it doesn't matter. Be like, it's my fault. I should have done X, Y, and Z to make sure that I was here and prepared on time. And it won't happen again. Dude, what boss with a brain isn't going to be like, I appreciate that.
Wow. Haven't heard that in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, that's refreshing.
It's also just the right thing to do. We shouldn't be teaching behaviorism here, but it's just the right thing to do. It's called having integrity. But
is that important?
Just own up to your own mistakes, like have integrity. But yeah, like now more than ever, people are going to be happy if you just tell the truth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just comes down back to kind of mental health and all of these things. In my physical space, that's like, I'm in a place right now where I don't have a ton of time, and Nick Bear talks about like finding time versus making time. Like if you're a young parent, and you've got a lot of stuff going on throughout the day, finding time isn't going to work, or it's going to be more stressful on whatever. He goes, make time the day before. Plan out your schedule for the day, or get up early and do it in the morning. I really have a desire to be working out consistently, but I don't get up way early, like super early, and I could get that stuff done then. Yeah. So like I could look at that and say like, oh, well, it's just the circumstances in my life that make it hard. Or I can look at it and say, it's my fault that I'm not doing it, which it is, and go do it. Yeah. And then see what happens, So that's where I'm at.
How much as an employer, how much would you prefer just being told the truth instead of hearing an excuse? Like how your reaction compared to hearing an excuse would be so different, right?
I would have
grace,
10x more grace,
forgiveness, mercy, even like, oh, it's okay, it happens.
Yep.
Don't worry about it. It happens. Like mercy. I'm the same. Like, just be honest. Like, definitely. I'll never be upset.
If any of my employees are listening.
Yeah, I'll never be upset about anything if you're just honest. Like, just say, hey, this was my fault. I didn't mean to, and it just got out of hand. And you could blow the restaurant up. You could blow whatever up, and like I'd be like, it's okay. It happens. Yeah. Like if you're just honest, like. It's just a great de-escalation tactic too. Like, you just be honest with people. Yeah, things go a lot smoother. Them. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
and it worked. And for me,
then there's another level of that taking responsibility for something that's not necessarily a responsibility. Like even if an accident does happen, taking responsibility for that, even if you don't, like, that's a pretty biblical principle, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. We can go into depth more on that one later.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not taking the blame for anybody's problems.
Yeah. But like, how often do you see that with like good teams?
Yeah. Where you're involved for sure.
I just watched Gladiator 2.
Oh, really?
Weekend. Phenomenal.
Is it? Dude, yeah. The original. Is it better?
It's pretty good.
Is it better? Nothing's better.
I don't think it's better. No. But dude, they tie it in really well. Yeah. And the acting is really great. And anyways,
is the I fight for Rome thing real? Mm-hmm. Everyone I fight for Rome. I fight for Rome. I saw like a video making fun of that.
Probably. Okay. No, but like I watched it in IMAX, which was cool.
Oh, nice.
But like my there's a part I was listening to, or I was watching, and basically the main character, and I won't spoil too much of it, and his group of gladiators go into this battle in the Coliseum, and they're not supposed to win, and they win. Right? I think something similar happened like that in the first one. Yeah. Anyways, and basically afterwards, the guy who handles
his whole experience in the first one is they're trying to kill him off because he's a liability.
Right.
He keeps winning after. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
So they win this battle that they're not supposed to, and they come in, and the handler of the gladiators, who's like trains them, and he's the kind of the boss over them. He's like, "Who did this?" And of course, it was the main character kind of leading everybody. Who did this? And all of a sudden, other gladiators started being like, "I did," and then the other one's like, "I did." The other one's like, "I did." It's like cohesive.
Banding together. Yeah.
Boom. They're taking responsibility for something that's not necessarily what they're doing. It's like, dude, you're getting goosebumps talking about that kind of stuff. Yeah. Military does that a lot too.
Right. That's fostering.
It's like a brotherhood.
Loyalty
it's like
through good leadership.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool stuff. Yeah. I feel like we got into a lot of the good stuff here at the end.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Anyway, but it's cool. Yeah. Like you kind of taking the bullet for somebody else is it's probably one of the more noble things you can do.
Yeah.
But, I was going to ask you one more thing going back to the health side of it. Would you ever get like one of those DEXA scans, like a bone densities,
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to. Yeah.
I'd love to. I wonder if there's a place around here we could do it.
Yeah. I don't know if the InBody does. I think the InBody does or is it muscle density?
Yeah. I think that's just what do they call those? It's not a DEXA scan. That's the one where like you lay down and the thing goes over you.
Like it gives you a literal number. Like I know InBody has a margin for error.
But that's more like body fat percentage.
Yeah. I don't know if they do like so this would be like a bone density, like actually tell you what the real number is.
We should find one, see if Corwin wants to go.
I would love to do that and then be like terrified of getting like a bad result.
Or do it before and after like a 8-week shred or something like that.
I'd like to to think that I'm healthier than the average Joe, but to know and be like, because I'm tall and skinny, like I imagine the number's not as big as I would want it to be.
But if it's predictors of longevity, like if your muscle mass and your bone density are predictors, like those are some pretty good health metrics to live your life by. Yeah. Be like, sure, some of what I'm doing is right. Yeah,
I'm sure height is not as much to do with it, but I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, that would be interesting. And then it would, if I didn't get the number I wanted, it'd be a heck of a motivator. Yep. Yeah, like for me, it would be.
And then even more advanced for your health kind of metric, you could do like a VO2 max.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that'd be amazing.
You got to play a place. Let's find one.
But that's getting to the point where it's like, do you want to know the age before? Like, do you want to know?
I kind of do. I'm that way.
Like, because that's the whole like ethical question of like, if you knew the moment you were going to die, would you really want to know? Like that's like the VO2 max is getting to the point where it's like,
well, your pulmonary efficiency.
They can tell you like the day and time that you're expected to live to.
Can they seriously?
That's kind of like not really, but that's like the ethos around the VO2 max. Yeah. It's like the ultimate life predictor, and the number they can give you. Can they extrapolate like? If you stayed that way, like how long you would live to the year, like who wants to know that?
I would think more like a marginal increase. Like I would like to know what it is now and then what it would be like in 3 months of training or something like that.
Yeah.
And then kind of comparing to my age group. That's really what I care about. Like I don't want to know when I'm gonna die.
Yeah, neither do I.
What if they go in there and like, oh
yeah. If nothing catastrophic happened to you and you died of natural causes, you're going to die at 54? What? Like, I don't want to know that.
Selling all my assets and traveling the world.
Yeah.
And then you live longer.
Yep.
And you're broke.
Yeah. The VO2 max would be awesome. Like,
yeah, because that's a pretty good predictor of your cardiovascular health. Like the number one.
It's the number one longevity metric, they say. Okay. Apparently, it's the number one metric for longevity. Predictor of longevity.
In Syracuse like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, or Watertown.
Yep. That one they do by sticking a mask on you and making you run on the treadmill, right?
Yeah, for as long as you can, or some crazy thing. You're supposed to be able to do that with some watches, but I don't know how accurate any of that is.
I'm sure it's not accurate at all. Yep.
You gotta put the mask on and run like you're a science experiment.
Yeah. Yep. And I think you have to be a certain level of healthy to even complete the test.
I'm sure. So like if you do it for 1 minute.
Yeah. Like what was the point? Yeah, you probably would want to prepare for it.
To some
degree, and
I think when it comes to health, like one of the hardest things for me, and I know for most people probably, isn't necessarily getting in the gym and being semi-consistent in the gym. It's just the nutrition.
Yeah.
Nutrition is hard. And like we get circling back to
Way
what we said
harder.
before, it's like
90% of it.
if what you're putting in your body is already high in calories because whatever alternatives there are, dude, go buy a bag of beef sticks. They're like $20 for like, I don't know, 8 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's expensive.
Yeah.
You know, and so like healthy snacking, and like I honestly think if I could get more in tune with my intermittent fasting schedule, I don't eat breakfast hardly ever.
I used to be that way too.
I don't know what's the matter with me. I just don't eat breakfast.
Yeah.
I'm not hungry, so I don't eat. And I think if I could stop, like maybe my window could be from like 9 p.m. to 12 p.m. Do like or 10 to whatever.
Yeah. And I don't eat breakfast either when I'm not regimented.
Yeah.
It's not worth it when you're not regimented. If you're not on a meal plan where you're trying to like gain a certain amount of weight or whatever. Yeah.
I've never been on a gain weight.
No.
Like I can gain muscle pretty well, I think, decently.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if you did.
But I know what's that?
Imagine if you did then.
Yeah.
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 I mean, in 3 months, you'd see some insane results. I bet.
If I was eating breakfast.
If you had a macronutrient
yeah.
profile and a calorie goal in mind that you hit every single day for 3 months and you worked out whatever your workout program was, and actual like resistance training to near failure on every exercise. If you've never done it and you see results, imagine if you did do it.
What would you say is like and we'll start wrapping up here, but what would you say like is in your opinion, how often and how much should you be working out? Like if you get your nutrition dialed in, and because the nutrition side of it is actually pretty brainless. Like you can go on and see what your health, like your weight, your height, you know, and I mean you can step on any scale and kind of get an idea for your muscle
your level of
mass.
Activity. Yeah, it's very easy. It's not hard.
And then they'll be able to calculate your macros and how much you're supposed to eat. But like for training regimenting, that's kind of where most of the debate is nowadays. It's like how often, how much, what kind.
Yeah, I think lots of things work. I think 3 days a week works as well as anybody would ever need. Yeah, I do.
How long? 3 days a week? Like how
I don't think length matters. I think intensity matters more.
Fascinating.
Not to be like seriously. Yeah. I've done 45-minute workouts where you're squatting heavy for half of it and then you're benching and deadlifting for the rest, and that's a 45-minute workout if you're taking a 2-minute rest.
Yep.
You know, I think intensity matters more than time.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think
like calisthenics versus free weights versus hybrid versus CrossFit versus like there's so many different things.
There you can get into the argument of like, well, time in the gym does matter, because if you're spending 45 minutes in the gym, your rest times aren't as long as they should be. And studies show that a longer rest time creates better hypertrophy. Like you can get into those little arguments, but for the most part, I think that 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, do whatever you can do that's not going to hurt you. And like 3 days a week is fine. Like 4 days a week is fine. 5 is fine.
For like 30 to 45 minutes.
I personally think that 45 minutes to an hour is like plenty of time. And some people would say 30, and I'm even fine with an hour and a half, because the heavier you go, the more, as you progress in your workouts, typically they might take a little longer. Yeah. But I don't think you need anything more than 3 days or than 3 days a week as long as your intensity is
appropriate. Yeah.
Is appropriate. Yeah. I think you can get into you can get into working out too much where you're not prioritizing rest and recovery.
Yeah.
But you don't have that problem with 3 days a week if you're intensity.
I think that's right. And it also depends on what physique or what goals you have. Like if you're trying to gain weight, that's going to look different than if you're trying to shred weight.
Yeah. If you're lifting heavy weights, you might want to stick to 3 days a week. Yeah. You're going to need that rest and recovery, and you're going to see insane change. And you're going to see change that you wished you saw when you were working out 6 days a week. It
just comes down to consistency.
People don't want to believe it. They don't want to believe that you can see better results in 3 days than they saw in 6. But
what you're doing matters for the 3.
Yep. As long as that intensity is there and you're training to failure, and the intensity is there, you probably will see better results in 3 days than you saw training in a lackluster way in 6 days. Yep.
I'm doing a program now because time is a consideration for me. Obviously, family, business, adult. Traveling, married, all these things. I have a home. I have to take care of. There's a lot of things that take your time away. I'm trying to find. I was always trying to find something that's like maybe 30 to 40 minutes that I could do in the morning.
Yeah,
or
I love those things.
Find time.
Yeah, I think it's doable.
So the program has breaks and stuff, and I've been skipping a lot of the breaks, and they are kicking my tail.
Yeah,
and they're like they're good.
Yeah.
And I get done and I'm like, awesome. Then I have time. Then I have time to jump in the sauna.
Yeah.
You know, like 20 minutes, and now it's.
Yep.
I can have everything done in 50 minutes.
It's huge for somebody like you. Yeah. I think people don't want to admit it. They don't want to admit that 3 days a week works because you know how intense a 30-minute EMOM is.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Which is pretty much what it is.
It's easier to go to the gym 6 days a week and lift 20 pounds lighter than you should be than to do a 30-minute EMOM 3 times a week.
Yeah.
It's way easier to go to the gym 6 days a week.
Yep.
And work out.
And then there's the mental side of it too. Like if you're on a Monday and you're like, I have to work out 5 times this week or whatever, like there's just a flexibility to it.
Monday, Tuesday, Friday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday is an amazing workout split.
Yep. And I'm doing mostly like a circuit. So it's like there's endurance and cardio and it's calisthenics and stuff like that. But there's also free weights and dumbbells and barbells.
Yeah.
But it's moving. I'm constantly moving and I'm loving that.
Yeah.
And it's 3-4 times a week.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a lot that works. People do weight training 3 times a week and then run 3 times a week. And there are fitness scientists out there that say that is the devil's way of working out. You should never do that. You'll never see progress. That much cardio with your weight training, you'll never see progress. You'll be way too fatigued. You'll have no time to recover. But do you know how many people are extremely fit that weight train 3 times a week and run 3 times a week?
Yeah.
Tons.
It's the movement right now.
Lots of stuff
The
works.
hybrid movement is
lots of stuff works.
In. I would say it's overtaking CrossFit.
Yeah. Lots of stuff works and it can be as little as 3 days a week.
Yep. Like those high rocks workouts. Have you seen any of those? They're like the new CrossFit kind of, but they're a little bit more structured as like you kind of know what to expect. Where the CrossFit games were kind of like
surprise.
We're just going to put you through whatever and see what your limit is.
Yep.
But yeah, anyways.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
It's a good
stuff.
topic.
Yeah. Well, I hope people enjoyed this. Like we didn't have any specific thing. We thought about doing a recap, but we're only on episode 30. So we'd be recapping like 22 through 29.
23. Yeah. 29. Yep.
23.
Yeah,
You're right,
22 was the
23.
recap. 21 was Chris's part.
Correct. But maybe that'll be coming up. We're also going to be doing a couples edition soon.
Nice.
And we actually have a guest coming in next week that everybody's going to really want to tune into about the Russian and Ukraine war from firsthand experience. So I'm excited about that. That'll be next week. I don't think you'll be able to be here for
Yep, I'll miss that one, which is a bummer because that's a good one.
Yeah. So
my first absence. Dang it.
Yeah, maybe I'll make a cardboard cutout and I'll just right, Nick.
I mean, just put my face on the screen.
Maybe we could FaceTime you and put your face on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could. Maybe we could do that.
That'll be a bit.
Yeah, I'm excited for some of the guests that we have coming on because we're starting to get some more perspective and some more faces.
Yeah.
Pretty fun.
Yep.
So you guys can look out for that. Other than that, you got anything else?
No. Sign out.
All right, man.
Sign off.
All right. We will see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Peace.